Welcome into another video. Today we are going to be recapping the Chicago Bears game, and I decided to have my boy Ryan Cash Sharma from our Dynasty videos hop on with us. My lamp is going in and out right now. I don't know what the hell is going on, but we're gonna let it go. Bears huge win, scoring 2 touchdowns in the final 6 minutes of the game against the New York Giants. Ryan, what would you say your biggest takeaway from today's game was?
Man, the thing that stuck out to me the most after that game was I even had to go back and check the box score was that Caleb Williams took 0 sacks today. And I felt like he was under pressure on maybe half of his dropbacks. I mean, his sack avoidance has become so elite. It's that little spin move he does like right when he feels the defender like literally fingertips are on him and he hits that spin move. He waits, he sucks him in, and then he eludes the sack. And today he did it with his legs at the end, getting out on the edge and running in for a touchdown. But just in general, like just his ability to maneuver in the pocket and then keep his eyes downfield. He really hasn't hooked up anything yet necessarily once he makes the defender miss and tries to throw on the run. That part
Yeah.
has to get better. But I think just the fact that he takes so many dropbacks under center, gets immediate pressure. Whether today I felt like it was a lot on the right side actually, which was a little concerning because I thought Darnell Wright's been pretty good this year, but usually it's from the left. Either way, like he just has a way to elude these sacks that have, I feel like last year that just hasn't. It wasn't the case, and I feel like
No.
with
Yeah.
most other quarterbacks in the NFL, like they are not able to get out of these sacks. I just watched Daniel Jones earlier this morning take like five or like probably five sacks that I feel like Caleb Williams could have got out of easily. So I'm just so impressed with that ability of his. What about you?
Yeah. I mean that it's becoming like full blown elite. Like he was pretty good
Yeah.
at it last year, but still took a lot of bad sacks on
Hmm.
top of it last year. But like you were talking about, that spin move, that jab is like one of the best moves. I like it's gonna become like a signature move. I feel like for him over the years, dude, because he does it so well. Where it's like, okay, he's in the pocket, he immediately sees the pressure, and like the beautiful thing about it is he'll look back middle. He'll be like, okay, so he's like deking out the defender, and then he just puts his foot in the ground, makes the defender take a step in, and he just spins out of it. And it has worked seemingly every single time.
Yeah.
His pocket presence is becoming next level. He looked like a full blown established NFL quarterback today. And I know his stat sheet won't say that, but you account the 6 drops that he took today. I mean, this was probably my favorite Caleb Williams performance, maybe in general. I know he's had some better statistical games this year, but this was the game where I was like, wow, he looks like a quarterback today. Like a full
Yes.
like he looks like a top 10 quarterback today.
Especially because the guys that they had rushing the quarterback. I know the Giants aren't like some elite defense or anything, but we're talking Brian Burns, who leads the NFL in sacks, Abdul Carter, top three pick, Kayvon Thibodeau, top four, top five pick.
Yep.
Dexter Lawrence, probably the best defensive tackle in football, at least in the top three, in my opinion. So
Hmm.
it's like I was nervous coming in because this was the best pass rush that we faced this year. And yeah, to end that game with 0 sacks. I know he took maybe like one or two that might have got wiped off with a penalty, but like even though he did that, like I just feel like in general it was an incredible game in terms of sack avoidance. And then, like you said,
Yeah.
the drops would have, like if those balls are caught, it would have made his stat line look a lot better.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. Just one more thing before we move on to the drops, because I want to touch on that as well. But those were some marquee names that
Yes.
would not able to bring him down today. Like it is kind of crazy. And I know he's, got a stockier build, but he's not like some 6'5" quarterback here. You know what I'm saying? Like this is he's a 6'1" guy. Like I get it, he is stockier, but he is extremely difficult to bring down. His athleticism is off the charts. It's so good. It was, I mean, there was a lot of moments today where you just felt like, oh no, like they got him, like they have to get him, and he just continues to make plays to get out of it. It's a beautiful thing. But I want to touch on the drops, and especially on Alamadi Zacchaeus. How big of a disappointment has he been this season?
I'm totally over him. Like I don't understand. Like it must be something in practices with Luther Burden where it's just he's messing up a lot or he's doing something wrong because I don't understand why Zacchaeus is getting these snaps over him. There's nothing that he does better than Luther Burden, in my opinion. Like every single target every single route that Zacchaeus runs. I feel like could be done by Luther Burden. Like I don't understand. He's not last year's Keenan Allen, where it's like Keenan Allen just is so smart and has this ability that is unlike any other receiver to settle down in zone or whatever. He's not like some speedster. He's not some after the catch monster. Like I've been even annoyed with the amount of like screens that we've been throwing Zacchaeus. It's like you could be throwing this to DJ, you could be throwing this to Luther,
Yeah.
guys that are actually known for their ability after the catch. So I just feel
Mhm.
like Zacchaeus is like this weird receiver where he's not really good at anything. And I felt like he wasn't really bad at anything until today, where it's like it became very alarming. The drop problems. Like he hadn't really messed up prior to today. It's not like he's been fumbling or putting the ball on the ground or running the wrong routes or anything. But today it just was like so alarming, the mistakes that he was making, to the point where it's like, okay, if he's going to do this, there's just no point of him being on the field, in my opinion.
100%. I mean, 3 blatant drops today. And if you want to talk about that one in the end zone as well, that was a beautiful ball from Caleb Williams. That would have been a
Mhm.
touchdown. Thankfully, they ended up getting 7 anyway off of that drive. But I mean, I mean, like you said, I don't think he really does anything good. I think he's a good wide receiver 3. Like it's something you have on your roster and you're okay with it. It's not like he's a horrible wide receiver. I was really impressed with him in Atlanta before he even got to Washington. I was
Yeah.
even more impressed with him in Washington. So when we signed him in free agency, I was pleased with that. But then you draft my wide receiver 1 coming out of the draft and Luther Burden, and you talk about like Ben Johnson in his press conferences saying like, "Oh, like I just don't trust Burden yet. I trust OZ though." What today made you trust him? Like you can't. Luther Burden has the most yards per route run on this team. He has the number 1 yards per route run on this team, and obviously that is due to in fact that he's not running a whole lot of routes. But good things have happened when Caleb Williams targets him. He gets open.
Yeah.
He has he can run after the catch. That was like one of his biggest things at Missouri. We talked about how they didn't use him properly in Missouri in our pre-draft process, and talking about how we think this guy is a true 3-level threat receiver. He showed it in the short game this year. He showed it over the middle of the field this year. He showed it in the deep game ball game this year. Like this is a 3-level threat. I know it's just flashes and it's a very minuscule scale, but it's time to get over the trust factor and maybe the rookie punishment that he's laying on the wide receiver. And I think a lot of that is probably because, one, it's a loaded room. DJ Moore and Rome Odunze have kind of established themselves in this league, and he's still a rookie. And Ben Johnson's offense is complex, and I'm sure it's even more complex for the wide receivers. There's a lot of motions, a whole lot going on middle of the field. You got to be able to run all the sorts of routes. I mean, it's the built off the play action, but it's time. You got to give him much larger of an opportunity because Zacchaeus is just not that guy.
Yeah, I think they will. Plus, his hands just looked really bad today. I don't know, he just looked cold. Maybe he's not built for Bears
Yeah.
weather, in my opinion. Like he didn't look like he didn't look strong. He didn't look big out there. Like Luther, when he caught the ball, he was still fighting for yards. He looked like a dog out there today. So yeah, that's someone I want with the ball in their hands, especially like I said, as these weather games start getting going, and we need some grit out there. I don't think
Yeah.
Zacchaeus has much of any grit. He doesn't do
Oh,
anything after the catch. So yeah.
Burden's got that grit in him
Oh yeah.
from St. Louis, hanging out with JMO and them. Yeah,
Oh
he's
yeah.
got that in him. And St. Louis, it's a little bit more down south, but that's still cold weather over there. All right, so yeah, I think that I do think that Luther Burden needs to establish much more of a role. Let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. In my opinion, a very frustrating game. They did only hold them to 20 points, but there was a lot of yards given up. You could question Brian Dable for some reason not going for it when he would have gotten the ball at the half-yard line. I mean, I just think that is a fireable offense. Like tomorrow, like honestly, like I get it. You're playing for your job and you have a chance to go back up 2 scores, but what do you got to lose at that point? Regardless of all of that, defense gave up a lot of yards today. They still didn't really look the part. Are your concern levels just rising with that?
Yeah, I mean, they got extremely fortunate that Dart got injured. In my opinion, they had no answer for the Giants' offense when Dart was in there. I think once Russell Wilson got in, you could tell. Like, I think Brian Dable just genuinely hates him. Like, he genuinely hates Russell Wilson. He doesn't trust him to throw the ball at all. I mean, once Russell
Yeah.
Wilson came in, it turned into them just running it every single play. And I think that bailed us out because as the game got later in the game, the Bears eventually adjusted and just kind of stacked the box. But yeah, like I just think that when Dart was in there, our defense, the D line has no excuses. Like I'm okay with the secondary making mistakes. There's no Kyler Gordon, there's no Jalen Johnson, even the linebackers, right? With TJ Edwards out today, but the D line has no excuses. Like they've been relatively healthy all season long, and they've still been unable to get any pressure. They just look very, very bad out there. Grady Jarrett looks awful. Dio Dengbo looked awful when he was in there. Montez Sweat is a good player, but he can't. He's not a difference maker on his own.
Mhm.
And I think Javon Dexter just disappears too often. So I think I'm very concerned with the defense. They, like I said, they had no answers for the Giants when Dart was healthy.
Well, I completely agree with you on everything. It gets frustrating just watching guys, and I want to know what the defensive back sack ratio is to our defensive line, like totals. I genuinely do, because Chauncey Gardner Johnson again with another sack today. Brisker was getting pressures all day every time he was rushing, and that's sad. That's sad that the
They're our
only way that
best
you're
pass rushers.
generating, yeah, the only way that you're generating true pass rush is when you're bringing one of our gritty safeties down. Like that's the only way that you're able to generate pressure. And yeah, sometimes Montez Sweat will have some flashes and do it on his own, but I think it's come to be known that this guy is more of a second focus. I think he could be a 12 sack guy, but he can't be the main focus on this defensive line because they can eliminate him either way. And the Giants have a really good offensive line. I will say that. It's not like they're a bunch of slouches that we weren't be able to get, but they haven't been able to do it all year against slouches. And there hasn't been enough flashes in that defensive line. And we touched on Dio Adenabo. I think that he's probably going to be a midseason comeback next year. I would say if there's any route in cutting your losses. But I think that there is some serious concerns when TJ Edwards, Kyler Gordon, and Jalen Johnson are not on the field, who I would think Edmonds has had a really good year, but I think those three are like maybe our three most valuable defenders because I think Montez Sweat has just dropped down the list to me. You could argue last year, like going into last season, like, hey, Sweat is probably the number two piece on this defense with Jalen Johnson in the secondary. He's not played like the number two piece on this defense. I think Edwards has been more impactful to this defense than he has. I think Kyler Gordon has been way more impactful. And then Jalen Johnson, obviously, in my opinion, a top 5 corner in football, been missing for like other than 10 snaps on the season. There's some serious concerns here. And we're getting into a tough part of our schedule.
Yeah, and especially on the D line, like I said, there's no excuses for them. Like the players that you just named, like most of them, or at least Kyler and TJ, I assume will be back relatively soon. I believe Jalen Johnson's even expected to return. So like you can expect the defense to get better at those levels of the field as players get healthy. But the D line, there's nothing coming. So it's like I'm extremely concerned because there you can't fix it. The trade deadline came and went. You didn't get anybody other than that guy that I didn't even see today. I don't even know if he played.
He did. He was the one. Do you remember the 4th and 1 Jackson Dart? Like they did
Oh yeah.
the
The
fake
little
pitch, and
bootleg run around.
yeah, and he's the one who got his legs completely just taken out from under.
Nice. I
Yeah,
think
he's
like
just smoked.
I mean, are we against putting CJ Gardner Johnson at the end when Kyler Gordon's back? I mean, it seems like he's got more dog, more grit, more ability to get to the passer than any of our other guys. So yeah, like
I
as we
mean,
get late in the season, I'm concerned. I don't think we can generate a pass rush against any team at this point.
what do we got going on here? We got Byard and Brisker, okay, and you got Wright and Tyreek, and you got right now Johnson playing the nickel. Can we maybe play him over Noah Sewell? I'm so sick of that slow ass dude. I'm so sick of him. He's so slow. It's so hard to watch him get burned week after week.
Well,
It,
where's
but
Ruben Hippolyte?
he got hurt today. He got hurt
Did he?
today. All I talked about was all we've heard about him is his speed. Like I genuinely would rather watch him maybe fuck up on a play at least, but he's fast. Like at least like be able to recover. Like when Noah Sewell was getting beat all day in coverage, and then he had that third down stop where he just missed a tackle and they took it for 40 yards. Like I was already frustrated with him. I was done with him. This team needs to get healthy and fast because what do we got? Minnesota, their defense has been playing pretty good football, and maybe their offense is going up and down with McCarthy, but that's going into their house next week is not going to be for the light of heart in any way, shape, or form. You got Pittsburgh after that, they're beatable, but they're still a good team. And then you really get into the gauntlet. I think you go Green Bay, Philadelphia, and Green Bay, or maybe Cleveland in the mix there. But regardless, it's a tough. We're entering the gauntlet of our schedule now, and this team needs to figure it out defensively. They need to start doing something different. And I really don't think it's a DA problem. I really like. I think DA
No.
calls it up when he needs to. Like when the game is on the line, he's been able, for the most part, other than the Cincinnati game, to finish off ball games. But they've got to figure something out and change some things up.
Yeah, and I know Greg Olson was getting on them a little bit about their pressure looks on 3rd and long, and it's like I'm okay with that. Like I know what this team looks like when they sit back in soft zone on 3rd and long. Like they get gashed, they can't stop them. So I like bringing all the guys on the line of scrimmage, at least simulating a blitz look, because that's the only way, to be honest, that we can get the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands quickly. We're not going to get
Yeah,
pressure otherwise. And I do want to shout out C.J. Gardner Johnson though, like 2 sacks, the forced fumble, he made the play of the game. So it's like we said, like when Kyler Gordon comes back, he's got to stay on the field somehow. Like I don't know if he can
yeah.
play outside corner. I don't know if he's probably not going to play safety because, like you said, we have our 2 safeties there already. So I don't know. Either way, he's got to be on the field because he's making
But
plays every game now.
run dime. If
Dime,
Edwards
yeah,
is still out, if Edwards is still out, run dime. I'm not even fucking around. Blitz him. He's built like big enough to be like some sort of a backer. Demonte Kazi, who was like eventually always shifted into a linebacker for like the last 4 years of his career. Turn Chauncey Gardner Johnson into a linebacker. I do not give a shit. But
Dion
he's
was it
been
Dion Buchanan? Was he a safety turned linebacker or a linebacker turned safety? You remember that Cardinals guy? That
Yeah,
was
Deion
yeah,
Buchanan. He was a Madden freak. I remember he
yeah,
had
yeah.
his Madden card was always freaky. But Demonte Kazi, I think, was shifted into one. Or I might be off on that. I'm trying to think.
For the
There
Cardinals have
was
had a few, right? Like Isaiah Simmons or
Isaiah
someone.
Simmons. They
Yeah,
had no idea what to do with him. But yeah, I don't know. Use Chauncey Gardner Johnson in that way. He's been a godsend. I wanted us to go get him when they cut him from Houston, and
yeah,
eventually,
I remember that.
he made his way here. But I was like, hey, what? This guy's on the open market. He knows Dennis Allen's defense very well. Let's go get this nutcase. And he hasn't committed any 15-yard penalties. It's been beautiful. He's probably been one of our best players on defense over the last couple of weeks. So I'm all for it. We look ahead to who? Who we got next week? Minnesota on the road. They just lost today. Obviously, a very big loss for us, but we're going to be on the road. How are you feeling about that one next week?
I feel like we need to get our get back. Week one should not have ended in the way it did,
Hmm.
and I think JJ McCarthy hasn't really progressed or shown anything since then. Obviously, he's only played the 2 games since then, but like I think he's still the same quarterback he was in week one. He doesn't seem like he can run an NFL offense consistently. He has flashes, but yeah, like I think we're
Very
gonna
early
have
into his
to.
career.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get a lot of pressure on him like we did in week one until the fourth quarter. So, hopefully we learn from our mistakes for whatever happened in that fourth quarter and we adjust. Oddly enough, it's gonna be probably like the same defense. Like week one, we
It
didn't have
is.
Kyler Gordon, we didn't have Jalen, we didn't have Edwards. So it's gonna be that again. So yeah, hopefully we return to how we played in the first 3 quarters against them. But I feel pretty confident that we can beat them. And I think our offense is going to look a lot better than it did week one against Brian
Hmm.
Flores' defense because I
It
think they
needs
can,
to.
yeah, they can handle a lot more than what they could handle week one. Ben Johnson kind of ran a pretty basic vanilla scheme. And I think our guys now are, the playbook's opened up a bit and they have more capability to run these different trick plays and we know Ben Johnson in years past has exposed Brian Flores pretty heavily. So I think I
Yeah.
feel pretty good about our offense.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better off of our about our offense over the last couple of weeks, just in general. Today,
Mhm.
the drops were just stalling everything. They really
Yeah, I
were.
saw
I mean, they were complete killers today. I didn't think there was a few moments where I was upset with Ben, and I feel like I've kind of been upset with him in the red zone. I thought the red zone would be much more smooth. Like what I think about that touchdown to Loveland last week in Cincinnati, like that 6 yard one, not like
Mhm.
the game one. I'm like, where has that been? Like, because that's what
Yeah.
I kind of been expecting. Like those shake off the linebackers to the left, and then you just get an easy slant to your tight end, beating the backer inside. Like I've been expecting that all year long. I did not think our red zone offense was going to be in this much of a struggle. And then so today, 2 plays that pissed me off from Ben Johnson. The goal line fade, I thought was maybe his worst play call as a Bears coach yet. At first, it's by far one of the most unsuccessful plays, unless you're throwing the ball to Calvin fucking Johnson. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
why you're running that on 3rd and 4. I get it, and you're running a goal line fade. I thought that was atrocious call, and I didn't like the Swift. It might have been yeah. I think it was a 3rd down and 1. We started with the 2nd and 1. We got the 2nd and 1, and then we threw a ball. I think that was where we. I don't know. We threw a ball incomplete pass, and then we ran like an end around to Swift. I didn't like that one bit. I feel like we were running the ball much better up the middle with Monangai at some points, but Swift had a couple of nice outside runs. But I did not like the play call. You only had one offensive lineman rolling with him, so it was just a one-on-one with Swift, and I don't trust Swift that much in a one-on-one. And I thought that was a terrible play call on 3rd and 1, which set up 4th and 4, which we did not end up converting. So a couple of play calls today where I wasn't a big fan of, but overall, I think Ben's done a phenomenal job here. He's still a godsend, but we still need to improve on that red zone play calling, I think.
yeah, I think the red zone's definitely the most concerning part. That play that you mentioned, I think it was like an RPO, and the snap kind of got messed up. And I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe he would have just handed it off if it was like a smoother operation. So then he kind
Mm-hmm.
of just forced himself to throw the fade. But yeah, like I think the red zone in general, I thought would be a lot easier because I think Ben's a really creative mind. I feel like in Detroit, the red zone was like the money zone for them. They had
Yeah.
offensive linemen catching touchdowns. They were doing all sorts of things. So I know we did like that little Philly special last week, but I was expecting more plays like that where he'd be able to scheme guys open pretty creatively. And it seems like the red zone's kind of stalled and looked very just ugly. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I hope he's able to fix that going forward.
No,
You guys,
seriously, it's a must. It's a must fixed, really. Like it's pretty. It's not. I wouldn't say it's pretty bad, but I just feel like we don't have the run game that Detroit is, and he relies on that a lot in the red zone, and it
yeah,
works sometimes against these bad defenses, but not always. I think that also this is one last thing I want to touch on, but I think that these things could be is still eventually worked out over time. What are we gonna do? And it's maybe just because I've been starting to dive deeper, starting to get into my draft prep for April. What are we gonna do with our first round pick? Because I really don't trust Theo Benedict in pass pro. I was surprised that we didn't see Burns on him a lot more today. Like I was really surprised by that. I know Thibodeau and Carter are still, very good players, and you would trust them to win reps against Theo Benedict. But if you're talking about immediate pressure, I think Burns could have gotten the best of him today. Um, do you want to go left tackle or do you want to go edge rusher? Because we need them both pretty bad.
yeah, I think we got to get a left tackle and with the first round pick. I feel like that's where you get your franchise left tackles is in the first round of NFL drafts. Edge rusher, I think you can shore up via trade, via free agency. I know we've already invested a lot of money there, but I hope you could get like a legit stud, superstar like a Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby level pass rusher via trade or the open market. But for left tackle, it's really hard to find a left tackle via trade or via free agency. So I think that's
Yeah.
something you got to invest with your first round pick. You can't wait till the second. We've already seen that with Ozzy Trapillo and Kyron Amagaji. You got to get that with your first round pick and hope you. I know
Yeah.
we were one pick away from Kelvin Banks. I think that's who we were targeting. So that hurts. I love Loveland though, but I feel like we've just missed on our franchise left tackle a couple times now. So I think we got to get that short up.
Yeah, I think that the Bears got sniped a couple of times in this draft, but I'm not going to bitch once about the outcome that we've had. Like, I'm still very high on Luther Burden, especially now with the struggles that we've seen from Zacchaeus. I'm even more happy now that maybe the Patriots took Henderson and we still have Monangai and Swift who have been having really solid years. I think it's a position group that does need to be upgraded still, no doubt, but regardless, they've been solid enough where it's been working. But yeah, I think Fano, Proctor, one of those guys. It just does suck because I know Ruben Bain won't be available, but there's going to be a lot of good guys. Keldrick Falk from Auburn. I'm really starting to dive into his tape. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. I don't know if he'll fit Dennis Allen's scheme, but nor do I give a shit if he's a good player. I don't really start. I don't give a fuck about scheme fits really anymore. When we're not generating pass rush, we don't need to go find this like 6'8" guy. Like just find guys who could sack the quarterback, please, and I'll be happy with that. But yeah, completely agree. Bears win 24-20. You will see Cash Sharma Tuesday morning with our dynasty recap. Thanks so much for hopping on, brother. Go Bears.
Of
Six
course.
and three. Best start since 2018, and they look to go to 7-3 on the road at Minnesota next week at noon. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.